Welcome to the Girls with Girls podcast. I'm Shauna.
And I'm Lexie.
And on today's episode, we are going to be reading more Reddit ghost stories.
That's what we're doing. Yee-hee! Woo-hoo! Yeehaw!
You know, some people are just listening, right? And all they hear is, hee hee.
Oh, they don't see the action of me.
This is one of my favourite paranormal stories shared with me by my grandfather. It gives me chills every time I think about it. He said that he was working on his tractor alone one day and his hand got stuck in one of the parts. I don't know anything about tractors, but it was basically trying to eat his hand. At this time, his brother had an overwhelming feeling that he needed to go and check on him. Just when my grandfather thought he was going to lose his hand, he saw his mother climb into the tractor and turn it off. His brother arrived shortly after and was able to help him free his hand. When he told me, I said, "Thank goodness your mum came and turned the tractor off." He replied, "Yeah, but she'd been dead for 5 years." Oh my goodness. That is
Mother looking after
wild.
son in the afterlife.
Literally. And the fact that he saw that as well. Oh, that's actually quite sweet actually.
My town had a quiet hour. Last night I found out why. I grew up in a tiny town in the northern Maine. Population barely 900 people. The kind of place where everyone knows your truck by the sound of the engine. But the weirdest thing about the town wasn't the isolation. It was the quiet hour. Every night at exactly 1:13 a.m., every single person stayed inside for 1 hour. No lights on, no phones, no windows open, nothing. As a kid, I thought it was some old tradition, like a weird small town superstition. If you asked about it, adults would say, some things out there notice you if you notice them first. No one explained further. Last month my mom died, so I moved back home to clean out her house before selling it. I hadn't lived there in 12 years. Honestly, I'd forgotten about the quiet hour completely, until my first night back. At 1:10 a.m., my phone buzzed. A town emergency alert. Quiet hour begins in 3 minutes. Lock all entrances, do not look outside. I actually laughed. I thought maybe the town had turned the old superstition into some dumb community thing. Then every light on the street went dark at once. Not one porch light remained. The entire town became pitch black. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, wet, directly outside my house. I froze near the kitchen window. My first thought was someone messing with me. Teenagers, maybe. Then something tapped on the glass. Not a knock, a fingernail. Dragging slowly downward. I should have ignored it. Everyone said not to look outside during quiet hour. Instead, I peeked through the blinds. I'm getting chills already.
Shivers.
There was a woman standing in my front yard. At least, I think it was a woman. She wore a long grey dress soaked black at the bottom, like she had walked through deep water. Her hair hung over her face completely. But what made my stomach drop was her height. She was impossibly tall. Her head nearly touched the low tree branches over my yard. And she was perfectly still. Then my phone buzzed again. Another emergency alert. Do not let them see you watching. The second my screen lit up, the woman's head snapped towards my window.
No. No. Oh my goodness. This is like a horror film.
I ducked immediately. Then came the sprinting. Not towards the house, around it. Fast footsteps circling the walls over and over. I heard fingernails scraping the siding, windows rattling, something laughing softly right outside my bedroom wall. I stayed curled up on the kitchen floor trying not to breathe. Then I heard my mother's voice upstairs. "Ellie?" I stopped cold. My mom had been dead for 3 weeks. "Ellie, come upstairs, honey." Exactly her voice, perfectly. A floorboard creaked above me. Something was walking through the hallway. I almost answered automatically. That's the scary part. For half a second, my brain generally believed it was her. Then I remembered something my godfather told me when I was little. They only sound human when you're lonely. The footsteps stopped directly above me. Silence. Then a single whisper right beside the kitchen window. He looked at me. Not you. He. Like it was talking to someone else. Suddenly every dog in town started screaming. Not barking, screaming. And from somewhere outside, dozens of footsteps began running through the streets all at once. I don't remember much after that. I hid under the kitchen table, covering my ears until sunlight came through the curtains. At 2:14 a.m. exactly, everything stopped. No footsteps, no whispers, nothing. The next morning, the town acted completely normal. People waved at me. The diner opened at 6. Nobody mentioned the night before. Finally, I asked the cashier, an old woman named Ruth, what the quiet hour actually was. She stared at me for a long time before answering. Then she quietly asked, "You looked outside, didn't you?" I didn't answer. Her face went pale immediately. She reached under the counter and handed me a folded piece of paper. On it was a list of names, hundreds of them, every person in town who had ever looked outside during quiet hour. Next to each name was a date, and beside some of the dates was a second note written in red ink. Heard their family afterward. I found my grandfather's name near the bottom, then my mother's. Before I could ask anything else, Ruth whispered, "You need to leave town before tonight. As to what happens if I stay." She looked toward the dark woods behind the diner windows and said, "They start talking to you during the daytime."
Oh my goodness. That literally felt like you was reading a horror film.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Can I just say, sometimes I love just being able to read before everyone else.
Yeah, I get you.
Because, like, obviously I'm seeing what I'm about to read next.
Yeah. I was trying to avoid, like, skimming ahead. I don't know what to do. I made a post on here. That was when this started. I originally thought I had seen ghost orbs, along with other paranormal activity, but it's worse. Before I start this, should I say I'm a teen? I do not have access for much to help with this situation. Things I can't do is burn incense, place salt, or have an exorcism done. I have reasons, and I'm open to explain why. But here's what's happening. There's a ghost. It's in my papa's old office. He's dead. But this isn't him. My papa is my mom's dad. He would never do this to me. I explained in detail in the first note on my first post here, and it hasn't stopped. If only we can find the original post. And it hasn't stopped. This is what's happening. So far, including tonight, it's left the office. It waits for me. It waits in the hallway outside my door. It tries luring me out. Through different mind games, here's how I know where it's here. The temperature is cold. Of course, that's not all. Its presence is unsettling. The type of presence that induces anxiety, and the worst part is it wants to get to me. At least I think so. What I thought were ghost orbs, and worse than that, I did research. It's trying to manifest into my room. It's failing. I'm safe because of how strongly I believe it can't get to me. At least I believe that. It cannot get me while I'm in my room. I repeat this whenever I sense its presence. It's what keeps it out. I have no God to pray to as I am theist. I did buy an evil eye bracelet, but it won't arrive until the 17th, maybe the 15th if I'm lucky. I don't know how long this will last. I don't know this thing's motive, why it's here, why it's targeted me, or what it wants from me. Someone please give me advice, anything in my power I can do. This isn't my house and isn't my mom's house. My nana, who's my mom's mom, wouldn't believe me. Someone come to say Jesus, and if it was a demon, it will keep saying Jesus. And then the OP said, "No offense, but I don't know if that would work. I'm a theist. I don't believe in God." Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to believe in a God for it to work like that. I'm not sure. Again, I think that's a belief of whatever you believe in. There's no advice that could be given, I think, because you can't burn incense, place salts, or do an exorcism. And so how else are you meant to get rid of an entity that you believe is to be evil?
Well, I don't think that is anyway. Unless, like, trying to be, like, using, like, the power of your voice or something.
Yeah.
I've seen people just be, like, taking control and, like...
I suppose the good thing that they're doing is they are not showing that they're frightened. But normally if it's demonic, they can sense fear.
Yeah.
So it depends.
Well, they feed off the fear, so yeah.
Yeah, so it depends. Are you actually fearful of it or not? Because if you are, and then pretending not to be fearful of it, it just doesn't work.
Met my father yesterday in a bus after he died 10 years ago. My father passed away when I was 15. It's back in 2016. He had cancer. After his demise, my mother and sister had several dreams of him. Sadly, I never had any. Being a boy, I had to be strong enough to accept the reality. I even sleep at the bed where my father used to sleep. It's been 10 years. I never dreamt about him. Even if I did, it was natural and a happy one. Never had any spooky feeling even sleeping on the same bed. Until yesterday, something very weird happened and I am still in shock. I was going to office in a bus as cabs were unavailable. A middle-aged person sat next to me and he exactly looked like my father. I was out of words. My father was around 6 feet, brown and lean. The man was the same, just a bit fat. That's a nice way to put it. He even smiled at me like my father used to when I used to come back from school. I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to say that he is a doppelganger of someone I used to love the most. I couldn't. It was a mixed feeling of horror and emotion maybe. When his stoppage came, he stood up and said, "Good to see you growing." I still don't know if I was hallucinating. I know I wasn't. I sleep well. I don't smoke or drink, neither at the time I had any reason to hallucinate. I don't know what happened yesterday, but I feel like my life has changed, and this is the first time in my entire life I am having an unpleasant, weird trauma.
Someone said, "This is beautiful. A friend of mine told me she saw a doppelganger of her father at a museum park. She basically stood there frozen, staring at him. He just disappeared among the crowd." Oh my goodness, that would like be so crazy, seeing your father like as a spirit, and so sad, and just also an amazing experience. I thought I saw my grandfather once after he passed, walking towards us on a downtown sidewalk. For just a moment I was elated that the past few years had been a nightmare and he was really alive. He stopped to chat with my grandmother, and that's when I snapped back to reality. Turns out it was his cousin. They looked so familiar and dressed so similar that could have been twins. It broke my heart. Beautiful story, thanks for sharing. After my mom died, I was walking out of a shop and saw her coming towards me laughing, and she reached me and I saw that it wasn't her. But just for that moment, my heart was soaring. You are very lucky to have had that experience. I had a similar experience in my grandmother in the room when I gave birth to my son. I don't know how to feel about that.
Wait, who was that?
Someone saw their grandmother while giving birth to their son.
Oh,
Now,
imagine being like labour pain and just being like in shock that you're just seeing your dead grandmother right in front of you.
That's what I mean. I don't know how to feel about that. I saw her walking towards me right after he was born. I looked away for just a split second, and then it was my mother walking towards the bed. So you was in like a labour pain hallucination. They don't look enough alike in stature or colouring for it to have been my imagination. Oh, okay, so basically like the grandmother was there? I don't know. I saw my mother standing in her garden 3 months after she had died. She must have loved that garden, I assume. That would be freaky, not gonna lie, but at the same time it's sweet. I don't think he would have appeared if he knew you couldn't handle it. That is so true. I feel like when it comes to family members appearing as spirits, I feel like they show themselves to you knowing you can handle it, because they don't obviously want to scare you. So if they show themselves, it's like they believe you've got this, you can handle it, you're strong enough, you're a strong person.
Because when you like say that, I've already said this story. That time with the like woman. When I was like 4. That came up, but like I'm not sure if that was just like a random person, or like a family member. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, she was going like this, right? So that could either be like, shut up, don't tell anyone, because I'm a random person, it doesn't mean anything, and I don't mean to show myself, or something like that. Or if it was like family member, it could be like, okay, like it could be like either go back to sleep, or it could be like, a shush, I'm only showing you, don't tell anyone else.
Yeah.
I told everyone I was 4 years old, don't. Spirits, don't show a 4-year-old yourself if you don't want anyone else to know. They're a blabbermouth.
I think what you experience was a walk-in. What's that? Says OP. A walk-in is an esoteric or spiritual concept suggesting that a higher soul energy or spiritual being temporarily or permanently takes over a person's body. Great story. Father's twin. Tried to find him again. This will tell you it's real or not. Someone wrote a long comment. So we'll read this as the last comment. I understand completely when you talk about this simultaneously feeling of horror and emotions. I also feel the same when I saw my paternal grandfather's doppelganger twice in the same year, about 3 months apart. Both times I saw him was while driving during the day. Oh, car crash. I talked. I'm sorry, if I saw a spirit, I'll be crashing.
I'd be like, whoa.
From shock. Oh my goodness. I chalked the first one up to being tired and let it go. The second occurrence was beyond creepy to me, truth be told. The second occurrence, I was just so shocked I legit stopped driving mid-turn in disbelief, basically. See, dangerous. While turning off Main Street onto Jeanette Doctor in my hometown, and stared at the man for at least a minute in honest to God shock. The man didn't move or gesture. He just calmly stared back until I got myself together and took off. Both incidences were in 2003, and my grandfather had been dead since May of 1987. The part that creeped me out to my core was the fact that not only was the guy an absolute 100% dead ringer doppelganger for my grandfather, but the fact that the guy was driving the exact same type of truck my grandfather drove till the day he died. Oh my goodness. The truck was the same year, make, model, and even colour that my grandfather's truck was. By 1987, my grandfather was the only person in my hometown that drove that year and colour of truck by 1987. That truck was a late 60s, most likely 1969 red and white Ford F100 with original factory standard red interior and red bench seats. It was absolutely the truck that freaked me out the most. I've never seen that model, make, year, and colour of truck driven in my hometown. Grandfather died and the truck went to the scrapyard about 5 or 6 months later. It was already pretty much on its last legs by the time 1985 had rolled around. It was constantly broken down. I never saw that man or the truck again in my hometown after those two incidences in 2003. That's yet another fact that creeps me out to this day about the whole thing. Wow, what are the chances of seeing someone that looks like your grandfather as well as the truck, a unique truck that your grandfather had? And they said it went to the scrap, I was gonna say, like, did you sell it? And then, like, so obviously someone's brought it. You're gonna see it around. Now I know that some scrapyards do sell cars off without like crushing them or anything, but I don't know. What are the chances? But apparently it was run down. I don't know. That is a weird experience, if I must say so myself.
We're gonna PG this one a little bit. The medium who pooped on my kitchen floor. This is 100% true. I don't care if nobody believes me because I have two witnesses, my mom and the woman who literally pooped on my kitchen floor. I'm female, 23 now, but this happened when I was in 4th grade. For context, paranormal stuff wasn't exactly new to me. Before this happened, I'd already had a bunch of experiences from when I lived at my grandma's house. I had an imaginary friend, except I don't actually remember having one, my cousins do. They tell me stories about how I used to make them play games with this friend and how it terrified them, but I seriously have no memory of it. I also remember my dolls moving their heads, seeing shadows, and one especially weird incident where my dead grandpa's favourite song started playing on our laptop, with his ashes sitting on the shelf directly above it. As a child, this generally freaked me out. When we moved to this apartment, leaving my grandma's house, my mom was a single mom, so it was now just the two of us. We lived on the 3rd floor of an apartment complex. The apartment directly underneath us sat empty the entire time we lived there, which probably doesn't mean anything, but as a kid it always creeped me out. I never really hated that apartment, but it definitely creeped me out a little. I was mainly only scared to be in my room. At night I would see these white floating blobs drifting across my ceiling. I know how that sounds. I'm just telling you what I saw. I was so scared that I would regularly run out of my room and sleep with my mom. Then one night my mom got fed up with me stealing half the bed and went to go sleep in mine. That's when she saw the white blobs floating around my ceiling. After that, she contacted a woman that my aunt knew, some spiritual healer, medium, energy reader, whatever you want to call her. I generally have no clue what or who she was, lol. And mind you, before she ever came over, the woman told my mom not to tell her anything about what I had experienced. She wanted to walk in blind. Now here's the part that sticks with me the most. A few weeks before the woman came over, I was having a sleepover with my friends. Let's call them M11 Jack and F11 Jill for private Jack and Jill. For privacy purposes, who were twins. I was really only friends with Jill, but Jack always had to come with because they weren't allowed to go anywhere without each other. The three of us were sleeping on my bedroom floor. Our heads were against the wall with us facing my room. Jill was in the middle, Jack was closest to the door. Of course, put the guy close to the door. I was closest to the wall with the window. I woke up in the middle of the night and opened my eyes. Standing in my doorway was a woman. Not a shadow, no, not sleep paralysis, a woman. She looked Hispanic, or possibly Native American. She was wearing clothes that looked almost like pilgrim clothing. The thing I remember most is that she was making direct eye contact with me. She slowly walked from the bedroom doorway all the way across my room towards the window, just staring at me. I remember being completely frozen after watching her walk across my room. I squeezed my eyes shut, opened them again, and she was gone. Fast forward to the day the spiritual woman came over. She's walking through the apartment, going through the entire apartment, saging everywhere, talking about energy, doing her thing. Eventually, we all end up sitting on the kitchen floor, just me, my mom, and this woman. We're sitting there talking when suddenly the room starts smelling absolutely horrific, like literally just out of nowhere. And then this woman suddenly jumps up, she's clutching her butt, and sitting on my kitchen floor is a puddle of liquid poo. I wish I was making this up.
Oh my
I can just imagine it. This grown woman had just pooped directly on my kitchen floor. She immediately takes off, running to my bathroom while my poor mom is cleaning up human diarrhea from the kitchen floor. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there as a 10-year-old trying to understand how a night just somehow turned into this. A few minutes later, the woman comes out of the bathroom looking completely panicked and says, I saw it. According to her, while she was in the bathroom, she saw the entity that had been attached to me. I honestly don't remember everything she said after that, but I was still stuck on the fact that she literally pooped on our kitchen floor. But I do remember one thing clearly. She told my mom that there was also a large cat protecting me, a black panther. My mom immediately knew and said somewhere along the lines, that makes sense. I've always prayed for a black panther to watch over and protect her. There was absolutely no way this woman had any way of knowing that. To this day, I don't know what happened in that apartment. I don't know who I saw in my bedroom. I don't know what the woman saw in the bathroom. I don't know why my mom and I both saw strange white floating blobs in my room. What I do know is that I'm now 23 years old. I have a black panther tattooed on my arm that I got when I was 17, and I've never once regretted it. Maybe it sounds ridiculous, maybe it is ridiculous, but whenever life gets hard, or even if I need a good laugh, I still think about this moment, because what the hell was that? Seriously, what the duck? And now I have this Black Panther tattoo, and by the way, it looks absolutely amazing, and the artist nailed it with all the details. And I have random people always ask me why I got this tattoo, because it's not like it's hidden. It's right there on my arm, and I have to go, oh well, it's a long story, but basically it's my spiritual guardian. But nobody's going to believe the entire story behind it.
Well, that was
no, I'm sorry. I can just imagine like story. The person getting up and like just clutching.
The fact that the mom had to clean it up though
is
disgusting. Someone put, bruh, got on to read something scary and this is what I get. Now I can't stop laughing and got a second wind. Oh my goodness. Gonna be a long night, longer night than I anticipated. Oh my gosh. Only read the post because your comment had me laughing. You weren't lying. That was good. Spooky dookie. That's what someone commented. Well, that's what my 7-year-old and I call ghost hunting videos on YouTube. This literally was a spooky dookie. She said nothing about pooping on the floor. Like, I'm sorry, I'm dead laughing right now. So she didn't try to say it made me poo on your floor. She just decided to say she saw it in the bathroom. That's amazing. Oh yeah, why can't she use like a better excuse for that? I don't know.
Well, yeah, because there was actually no excuse for her pooping on the floor.
No,
because like she said she saw it in the bathroom, not in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So maybe she just had like IBS or something.
Diarrhea. I think she simply was sick at the time, but went anyway. Apparently someone put. I'm so glad you ended up with a Black Panther tattoo and not a tattoo of the woman pooping on your floor. That's a good one. So that is it for today's podcast. Thank you all so much for listening or watching. Please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Spotify and rate us 5 stars. It just helps us get out there a little bit more. Thank you all again, and we hope to see you all in our next episode.
Bye.
Bye.